Hi, my name is Marilee Bresciani, and I have the privilege of serving as the president and founder of the Rushing to Yoga Foundation. I am so excited about today's class. I'm actually always excited about every class. This one begins to bring it all together, and that's why I'm extra excited. Because today we're talking about the inquiry process and then moving into conscious choice making. So as you can imagine, we have been leading up to integrating this all together, and in week 6 we're able to do that. But it begins always with the practice. So take a moment please and pause the video and practice your focused breathing from the guided focused breathing website. You can choose this one or any other one that you would like. When you're ready, unpause the video and we'll be here. Welcome back. How was your practice? Take a moment again, pull out your journal and reflect on your experience of your practice of focused breathing. Pause the video, and when you're ready, we'll be here. Welcome back. Again, you might have questions or concerns about ideas, experiences that are arising. You might begin to see some shift in your life. Welcomed shift in your life. We are here to support you in your learning journey. Please feel free to reach out to us through the FAQs or simply an email. We have coaches, trained coaches, very well-trained coaches, and beautiful people standing by who care about you and your journey. So be sure to contact us. Our reminders, our weekly reminders. It's never too late to find a buddy to partner up and encourage you in your practice. It's week 6. If you have moved into practicing 30 minutes a day, again, no judgment. If you haven't chosen to do that, no judgment. Just if you've chosen to practice about 30 minutes a day, every day, you may be beginning to see in your life, outside of your focused reflection, some differences. And if you're not, don't worry. Again, no judgment. We're here to support you and happy to coach you in any way that you would like. But again, we encourage you those 30 minutes a day, focused breathing, after 8 weeks, literally changes the structure and function of your mind. And yes, we mean 30 minutes at one sitting, not 5 here, 5 here, and 5 here. We don't actually have research on that at this point, so that's why we're sharing what we know to be true through research and encouraging you in that practice. But again, no judgment. Stay in inquiry. There is no right or wrong. There really isn't. There are benefits that have been documented from folks who haven't chosen to spend 30 minutes a day. So no judgment, only inquiry. Okay? Okay. So today, as I mentioned, we're bringing this all together, the integrative inquiry, what we know to be true. We talked about values last week, and so we're bringing in an awareness, a naming of our values, and we're practicing how we feel and observing how we feel, and where specifically in our body we're sensing things and how that feels. And then we're practicing this inquiry that moves us out of interpretation and judgment immediately to a place of the unknown, because we're practicing this inquiry. So we're differentiate fact from interpretation, and possibly choosing to let our interpretation go for a little while so that we can really be experiencing this unknown where creativity and possibility reside. So much fun. And all of this, again, is celebrating who we are as a human being, that we were literally designed to integrate our brain and our intellect, what we know to be true, with this amazing intelligence of the body and the senses and the feelings, and through inquiry staying open to possibilities rather than moving to closing them down in judgment. So inviting you again into thinking about your intentions and your values, and taking note, observation of the feelings that arise around your intention, your beliefs and your values, the feelings, the senses specifically in your body, where they reside, how they feel, and then choosing, after a deep inhale and exhale, your words and your actions. All of this, again, tying back into your continual lifelong journey of getting to know who you are, the most amazing relationship you'll ever have. It's the relationship with yourself through all of these aspects. And so we're now on to our exercise. You have a spreadsheet. I keep calling them spreadsheets, but they're worksheets. They're worksheets. You have a worksheet on the website where you got this video, and I'm pulling mine up here as you see me look down. It's the Judge Your Neighbor worksheet. We're inviting you to take that worksheet in hand, pause the video, and complete the worksheet. In order to complete the worksheet, we're inviting you to think about perhaps an unwelcomed interaction that you've had this past week or past month, or maybe even today. Some interaction where you felt that somebody maybe in your life could have showed up differently. Not you. We're not judging you. Okay, so we're just saying you had an interaction, left you in an unpleasant space. Perhaps it created stress, but perhaps it was where someone else just could have done something differently. And we invite you to complete that Judge Your Neighbor worksheet, pause the video, and when you've completed the worksheet, replay the video and we'll process, okay? Okay, welcome back. All right, you have your Judge Your Neighbor worksheet completed. Before we go through the exercise, I'm inviting you to take a moment and just check in with yourself. How did it feel to complete that worksheet? What were you experiencing? Where in your body did you experience those feelings or emotions? What were your thoughts? Just take a moment to take note. Pause the video if you'd like, or continue whenever you're ready. The Judge Your Neighbor worksheet is brought to us by Byron Katie's work, thework.com. I have a lot of respect for her. She is an amazing human being, and cancer no longer lives within her body. She's done a lot of work. And when we talk about work and we talk about the practice, it's simply the work becoming present to what it is that you're feeling and thinking and how your body is sensing that. And for some, we call it the work because it is showing up in a different way than we're used to. We're maybe perhaps not used to really being in our bodies, really being cognizant or aware of what we're thinking or feeling and how our body is sensing or making meaning of that. And so to really stop and pause, take a deep breath and check in, it feels like work, right? So she calls it the work. So as you went through your worksheet, she gives you an example of the worksheet of how to complete it, and there are more instructions and a larger book on the website if you'd like to learn more about her work. These are all free, and so that you can share them with your friends. She's made them available for everyone's use, just beautifully generous. And the idea here is to really think about a situation that you were angry. Again, there's no judgment about why you were angry. And so she uses the situation around her former husband where she was angry with Paul because he doesn't listen to me about his health. Her former husband at the time was addicted to cigarettes and I believe alcohol, definitely cigarettes. And so she was explaining to him how research, what we know, shows to be true that if you smoke cigarettes, there's a particular likelihood that you will contract lung cancer. And so she was using research to say, you've just increased your percentages of contracting lung cancer if you smoke cigarettes like you do. And he didn't listen to her. And then she talked about what she wanted to see differently, what she wanted him to change as a result. And she wanted him to see that he was wrong, that she wanted him to see that smoking was wrong, and that she wanted him to stop lying about what he's doing to his health. And so he would say to her, smoking is not going to give me cancer. It's not even going to increase my probabilities of cancer. Your research is flawed. You're wrong. So it was one of those, no, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong. But she was angry with him because he didn't see what she saw. And so she wanted him to calm down and really listen to her and really see that when he keeps doing this, he will just make himself sicker. And he had already experienced a heart attack, I think, and she really wanted him to do something different than what he was doing. And what he was doing was negatively affecting her, and she was angry with him about it. So, she talked about her judgment of him. Then basically, before that, she basically said, well, to make me happy, he could do this. Like, this would make me happy. He could, stop. He could listen to me, and he could take responsibility for, he could stop smoking, he could exercise, all of this sort of thing, and he could really just say, I respect your opinion, right? And then she just talked about how arrogant and unfair and selfish he was by not taking care of his health and her perspective. So all of the list. And then what was it about the situation that you don't ever want to experience again? Wow, I hope you checked in with your feelings and body senses when you're completing that. It might be that sense of just hopelessness, and where does that reside in my body? For me, it's that sense in my chest of, it's a heaviness in my chest, and it's I start to perspire when I feel hopeless. My body heat increases, and there's just a heaviness, real heaviness, like a lethargic way of being in my body when I feel hopeless or something like that. So you just kind of tap into that. And then the next part, so once you complete that, you've completed it. You've kind of got down, I'm owning this. And then we move to kind of the fact versus interpretation aspect through Byron Katie's 4 questions, through the inquiry process, where we really think about what is true. Is it true, in this example, that her former husband doesn't listen to her about his health? Is it true? Yes or no? And oftentimes we think, yes, he's not listening because he's not doing what I wanted him to do. But we don't really know that for sure. So when you ask the second question, beyond a shadow of a doubt, is that true? Oftentimes we don't know, or it's no. I don't know, so then that's no. I don't know that he's not listening to me. He might be listening to me, but not agreeing with me. And therefore, he's not doing what I want him to do. And when I think about a lot of the conflict that I experience with people, it typically is around thinking that they're not listening to me when I don't know that they aren't. They just may not agree with me or listen to me. Maybe they even agree with me and choose differently anyway. So I'm choosing to feel disrespected because they're not doing exactly what I think is in their best interest. When in fact they may be listening to me, they may even agree and simply making a different choice. And that's their life. They get to make choices for their own lives. Because we live in the United States. All right. So that's the point. Is like when I think about how I feel when someone isn't listening to me and they don't respect me, and then I think about how I feel when they are listening to me and when they do respect me, they're simply making a different choice. In my body, I have just a completely different sensation. There's a lightness around being listened to. There's an invigoration around being listened to. So this is that whole process to help us unpack what's fact versus interpretation. Pretty cool, huh? So the interpretation is the story I make up in my head of, oh, he doesn't respect me, oh, he's not listening, oh, he thinks my research is flawed, or, you know, whatever it is. And then there's this fact of, I said this, he said this, and he chose this. Okay? Okay. Wild, huh? All right. And so when we think about who we would be without these thoughts that we don't know to be true anyway, again, it's like the amygdala, the fight or flight, deactivates, and that prefrontal cortex activates, and we can move into inquiry, and we can then go into saying, asking questions. Could you share with me how you feel when you smoke? Could you share with me the joys that you get? Could you share with me what you feel in your body? Could you share with me how that experience is for you so that I can get a better understanding of your choice making? And we'll talk more about later about the costs that some of our choices give us and the benefits that some of our choices bring us. And we'll talk a bit about how we can bring that all into, again, what we know to be true, what we're sensing and feeling, and then possibly hold some things out into the I don't know aspect and open up some more possibilities. But this is the beauty of Byron Katie's work. And again, it's available to us free at thework.com. You can download as many of these worksheets as you would like and go through this process. There's also some more to her work around the turnaround process, and we'll work more with that later, maybe. Or if you want to check that out specifically with one of our coaches, we'll be happy to do that as well. Okay. But this notion then leads to breaking this cycle. Again, we talked about this earlier. We want to become more present about the choices that we're making, becoming aware of our feelings and where they reside in our body and the thoughts that are related to that, so that we can determine whether we have a different choice. Sometimes we might, and sometimes we might not. So you've heard of this word karma. We've talked about this earlier. And karma gets thrown around a lot. It gets misused a lot. Karma is, again, a Sanskrit word from India, ancient India language, which means action. And when people say you're creating good karma or you're creating bad karma, what's behind that saying is you might be choosing something without actually being mindful of the notion that you are choosing it. Habits, for example, create karma. A habit to wake up in the morning every day and practice your 30 minutes of focused breathing, one might argue, is creating good karma. The notion around this is that a cycle of action can be broken with choice. Now, leading up to that might require a lot of support. In the case of Byron Katie's former husband, in order for him to become unaddicted to cigarettes, he had to garner a lot of support at a clinic to get off the addiction and do that in a healthy manner. There was a huge support team to help him make a different choice of not to smoke again. Okay, so it's not typically done in isolation when we break a karmic cycle, which again means a cycle of choice, whether it's whether we're aware of it or not. So again here, the idea is that when we do make a choice, it creates a memory, and that memory leads to a desire, and that leads to another action. Now, we could have a desire that leads to an action that creates a memory, or a memory that creates a desire that leads to an action. It doesn't matter where you start on this cycle. The idea here is, are we aware of what our actions are creating? And then going back and saying, what is the intention around that? We hear a lot in our society when somebody might be apologizing to you for hurting your feelings, and then you might hear, that wasn't my intention. I didn't intend for your feelings to get hurt. I didn't intend for you to feel ignored. I didn't intend for your voice to be silenced. And the idea here is that their intention may very well have been for your voice to be heard, and their habits of thought, word, and action may have simply created that, even though they didn't intend. So that's why we may have, in the changing the karmic cycle, we might have in the middle our intentions being very clear, but it's also why we're not introducing this until week 6, because we are training ourselves to become aware of, again, the multiple intelligences that reside in our body, in our senses, and integrating that into our intellect. I have experienced in my own life, if I make this an intellectual exercise only, it will take me only so far. Because it's the brilliance and wisdom of the body and of the senses and of the feelings that signal my intellect into a different way of being, a different possibility, a different potential choice, and therefore a different potential outcome. Fun, huh? I love it. Okay. So we're just introducing this, and we'll spend much more time on this later. But the idea here is then we're taking this practice in our focused breathing of who am I and what do I want, and we're using Byron Katie's inquiry process as well as tapping into our intelligence of our body to see, how do I feel when something is happening to me, or I'm experiencing something, and what is my role in creating that which I'm experiencing and that which I am feeling? Who am I around my intention? What do I want? What is my life's purpose? All my intention. Now, practicing that intelligence, tapping into it, what am I experiencing, and what is my role in what I'm experiencing? Am I caught in interpretation and now moving from pain to suffering? Or am I caught in pain, simply being present in the moment, experiencing pain, realizing that my role here in experiencing pain is that I choose to be with the pain, and then moving into what are my options? I can choose simply to be with this pain and feel it. Or I might choose something else. And what's within my locus of control? Back up. When I tore my ACL on the ski slopes of Mammoth while skiing with some friends, some might say, Marilee, at your age, what were you doing on a black diamond run? Anyway, well, it has a lot to do with who I am, what I want, what my life purpose is, how I experience joy. That brought me to this place on the black diamond run. And so when I was sprawled out on the mountain and I was experiencing pain, I was like, what is my role in this? I chose to be at my age, in my health condition, on a black diamond run, where it's likely that accidents can occur. And an accident did occur. Now, there was also a snowboarder who hit me a little bit earlier in the day. It was a complete accident. It was a whiteout. It may have caused my knees to weaken. At that moment that I was laying in pain, I thought, what are my choices? I could blame me. I could blame the snowboarder. I could blame the mountain. I could blame my skis. I could blame the guy that was supposed to make sure my skis released when I paid. Well, I didn't pay him. That was probably a clue. Anyway, so I can go through all of this thing, but then we think, what are my choices? I can't change any of what's happened in the past. It happened. I can learn from it, and I can choose again in the next moment, because we always have the next moment. And that in this moment, I was choosing to be with my pain, because at this moment, it was really important for me to assess what damage had been done and what damage had not been done. Where was I hurting? What was I feeling? What did my body need? I asked it, what do you need? And then we can move forward to what will be the most loving choice for me. Well, the most loving choice for me was, I yelled actually at my friend to get my skis off. I apologized to her later for yelling, and she didn't mind it at all because she wanted to help and needed instruction. But of how to help me. But here's my point, is in that moment when I can figure out who I am and who I am in relationship to what's happening, I very quickly move from a place of blaming to not blaming, because I love skiing. I love being in the outdoors. I love taking the risk of what might happen because of what I gain from that experience. So I could really own the choice of that and then follow what's out of my locus of control. I can't miraculously reconnect my ACL while I'm laying on the slopes, but I can receive other people's care and love and nurturing as we move down the slope, and again realizing the consequences of my accident on my friends and all of that, and accepting it, okay, owning the choice for what it is and what it is not, most importantly, which is that story, that interpretation in our head that we don't know is factual. Pretty exciting, huh? All right. So take a moment now and journal about this experience. Journal what came for you. Pause the video and then return when you are ready. welcome back. We'll spend some more time on this. But the point here is that thinking about really bringing into awareness the feelings we create or choose or co-create with others when we expect them to act in a way that we want them to act, rather than recognize that it's my expectation being placed on another that's creating pain for me. We'll talk more about that at a later time. For now, enjoy your movement and reflection, and we'll see you next week. Namaste.